What kind of monsters would break into a retired judge's home, beat him senseless, and try to steal everything he'd built over a lifetime? That's exactly what happened to Samuel Grayson, a man who'd spent decades fighting for justice, only to find himself bleeding on his own floor, betrayed by two strangers wearing fake badges. They thought they could destroy him in one afternoon, but what unfolded next would turn their world upside down and expose a scam so vile it'd make your blood boil. Let me take you through it, step by step, because trust me, you won't believe where this ends. Samuel Grayson wasn't just any retiree sipping tea on his porch. At 78, he was a legenda, former civil rights lawyer who'd taken on the toughest cases, then a federal judge whose courtroom was a fortress of truth. His rulings protected homeowners, crushed real estate fraud, and earned him respect from every corner of the legal world. Even in retirement, Samuel stayed sharp, managing his wealth with care. He'd built a trust fund for his grandkids, secured his 401k, and picked a Medicare Advantage plan with extra prescription coverage. His home, a quiet haven in a sleepy southern neighborhood, was his castle, protected by title insurance, a reverse mortgage, and no trespass signs he'd put up after consulting a property lawyer. Samuel thought he'd covered every angle. He was wrong. It was a Sunday morning, the kind where the air smells like spring and the world feels soft. Samuel was on his sun porch, his old beagle Rusty snoring at his feet, flipping through a financial report. His advisor had suggested tweaks to his portfolio, maybe some assisted levying bonds or healthcare investments. The clink of his teacup was the only sound until bam 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 saw pounding at his front door, hard and mean. Samuel froze. His neighborhood didn't get uninvited guests. His property was marked clear as day, saw private property. No trespassing. Saw he'd made sure of it after a real estate attorney warned him about shady land grabbers. Wincing from an old hip injury, he shuffled to the window. Two men stood on his porch, uniforms, badges, clipboards. They looked official, but something was off. The badges gleamed too bright, and their uniforms screamed "Saw costume shop saw." Samuel's gut, honed by years of sniffing out lies in court, screamed trouble. He cracked the door, chain lock still on. "Morning, sir," the shorter one said, voice clipped like he'd rehearsed it. "We're with the Community Standards Enforcement DVY Shown. You're cited for illegal modifications under Housing Code 41A. Samuel's eyes narrowed. "I'm not in any HOA," he shot back, calm but firm. "My property's independent. Title's clean. You're at the wrong house." The bigger guy, all muscle and menace, leaned in, flashing a badge that looked like it came from a toy store. "Under Ordinance 53B, we've got authority for immediate inspections. No notice needed." Samuel almost laughed. He'd spent 50 years dismantling legal nonsense. No HOA could barge in without a court order. "You'll need a warrant," he said, starting to shut the door. "A real one." That's when the big guy's boots slammed into the door, snapping the chain like it was string. Samuel stumbled back, crashing onto the tile floor, pain exploding in his hip and shoulder. Papers from his financial report scattered like leaves. Rusty barked wildly from the back, but the men were already inside. The big one pinned Samuel's arms, twisting until his joints screamed. The other tore through drawers, shouting about unregistered construction and emergency seizure orders. Samuel gasped, pain clouding his VY shown. "This is felony assault," he rasped. "Impersonating officers. You'll face lawsuits, jail, everything." They didn't care. They rifled through his desk, his files, hunting for bank records, trust fund details, maybe even his reverse mortgage papers. It hit Samuel like a freight train. This wasn't about fake violations. They were after his money, his life savings, targeting him because they thought an old man couldn't fight back. Through the haze of pain, Samuel's mind stayed razor sharp. He memorized their faces, their fake legal jargon, every move they made. "Evy denke," he thought. "For the lawsuit that'll bury them." Outside, his neighbor, Mrs. Evelyn Carter, 82 and sharp as a tack, was watering her garden. She saw the open door, the strangers. Samuel crumbled on the floor. She'd attended enough senior safety talks to know this wasn't right. Grabbing her phone, she dialed 911. "There's a break-in at Judge Grayson's house," she whispered. "Fake HOA cops. Elder abuse. Send help now, Saul." The dispatcher didn't hesitate. Sirens were on the way. Inside, Samuel was fading, his shoulder dislocated, ribs cracked from the fall. But even as his body betrayed him, his mind clung to the protections he'd built: his Medicare plan for the hospital bills, his homeowners insurance for the damage, his lawyers who'd tear these men apart. He swore, through the agony, that they'd pay not just for his pain, but for daring to shatter the safety he'd spent a lifetime securing. The hospital was a blur of fluorescent lights and beeping machines. Samuel's injuries were brutal: 3 broken ribs, a dislocated shoulder, bruises snaking across his chest. His Medicare Advantage plan kicked in, covering the ER, but the doctor warned of surgeries, therapy, maybe long-term care. Even doped up on painkillers, Samuel caught the nurse's murmurs, saw property invasion, elder assault, possible fraud. Saw his financial advisor needed to lock down his accounts fast. Then Elizabeth Harper walked in, a civil rights lawyer with a reputation for shredding predators who targeted seniors. She wasn't just an attorney, she was a one-woman army, her tablet loaded with contracts and her paralegal hauling stacks of legal docs. Samuel felt a spark of hope. "Judge Grayson," Elizabeth said, her voice steel. "This is assault, fraud, elder abuse, and a federal case. We're going to bury them." Samuel managed a weak nod. "Make it hurt." The next 3 days were a whirlwind. Elizabeth unleashed a legal storm: a personal injury suit for Samuel's medical bills and pain, a civil rights case for illegal search and property violations, and a class action for other seniors harassed by similar scams. She brought in a real estate lawyer, Marcus Tate, to check Samuel's title and insurance, ensuring no fake liens had been filed. His financial advisor, Clara Evans, froze his accounts, updated his trust fund, and secured his 401k against fraud. Samuel's home became a command center, with attorneys, prosecutors, and advisors working around the clock. Neighbors' security footage showed the fake cops forcing their way in. Local news exploded: saw retired judge attacked by fake HOA enforcers. Lawsuits loom. Saw senior centers buzzed with fear and fury, passing out flyers on spotting fraud and securing legal help. Elizabeth's strategy was ruthless. She sued the attackers Travis Holt and Derek Kane for millions, covering Samuel's hospital bills, therapy, and emotional trauma. The civil rights suit cited elder abuse and housing law violations. The class action united dozens of victims, ensuring the damages would cripple the defendants. Samuel's team went after their assets, homes, cars, even their insurance policies. Liens were filed on their properties, and Medicare fraud charges were added for fake inspection schemes. Samuel, still healing, pored over every legal document, his judge's mind dissecting each clause. His home, now a fortress with new cameras and alarms, was his war room. He wasn't just fighting for himself, was fighting for every senior who'd ever been preyed on. The trial was a spectacle. Cameras swarmed the courthouse, seniors clutching property rights pamphlets filled the seats. Samuel, leaning on a cane, took the stand. Elizabeth tore the defense apart, exposing Holt and Kane as career scammers with a trail of real estate fraud and elder abuse. They'd conned seniors into fake fines, stolen Medicare reimbursements, and filed bogus insurance claims. Emails and victim testimonies proved it was a calculated racket, preying on fear and trust. The jury was Levy guilty on every count. Samuel won Dula $7.2 million for his suffering. The class action awarded Dula $13 million more. Holt and Kane were done, property seized, wages garnished, lives ruined. Samuel's home was restored, his insurance covering repairs, his Medicare plan handling therapy. He didn't stop there. He hit the road, speaking at senior centers about fraud, property rights, and the power of legal help. He funded a scholarship for lawyers to fight elder abuse, wrote guides on spotting scams, and pushed for stronger Medicare personally overseen settlements where elderly homeowners received millions in legal settlements from real estate investment scammers and predatory mortgage fraud rings. Now her focus was entirely on Samuel. As she strode into the hospital room, tablet in hand, her paralegal trailing behind with a stack of real estate attorney contracts, health insurance for seniors brochures, and legal consultation documents, Samuel felt the first real flicker of hope since the attack. "Judge Grayson," Elizabeth said, setting the tablet down, "this isn't just a personal injury case. What they did was financial fraud, elder abuse, aggravated assault, impersonating law enforcement, and multiple property rights violations. This will be federal." Samuel rasped. "Good. I want them buried." Elizabeth smiled grimly. "That's exactly what we're going to do." The next 72 hours became a maelstrom of legal consultation, financial advisory sessions, and strategic planning. Elizabeth initiated litigation on multiple fronts: a civil lawsuit for assault, emotional distress, personal injury, and elder abuse, a real estate fraud action for attempting to illegally claim property rights, a mortgage fraud investigation to see if these men had tampered with Samuel's financial documents, and a criminal referral to state and federal prosecutors for impersonating HOA authority and law enforcement officers. She brought in a specialized real estate attorney, Marcus Tate, to review Samuel's title insurance, homeowners insurance, and property records to ensure no fraudulent liens had been filed. Meanwhile, Samuel's financial advisor, Clara Evans, a specialist in wealth management for seniors, initiated an emergency review of his trust fund, annuities, 401k rollover accounts, and Medicare billing status. Clara's team froze all non-essential transactions, locking down Samuel's financial accounts under elder law attorney advisement. His entire estate planning file was updated overnight to reflect the new threat landscape, ensuring maximum investment protection against any attempted asset seizures or fraudulent claims. Outside Samuel's hospital room, the hallway became a war room. Elizabeth coordinated daily calls with prosecutors, defense attorneys, civil rights attorneys specializing in elder protection laws, and financial advisors. Teams were dispatched to gather evidence, including Samuel's neighbor's security footage, which showed the fake HOA cops forcing their way into his home. Housing attorneys specializing in property dispute resolution filed injunctions against the attackers, blocking them from selling any assets or transferring property titles. While litigation loomed, local media picked up the story. Headlines blared: "Saw retired judge attacked by fake HOA enforcers." "Massive lawsuits incoming." Saw senior communities across the state buzzed with outrage. Samuel's story tapped into deep fears: financial fraud, real estate scams, property invasions. Assisted levying facilities circulated emergency newsletters with tips on verifying HOA claims, ensuring Medicare protections, and demanding proper legal representation before allowing any inspections. Elizabeth's legal strategy was nothing short of brutal. First, she filed a personal injury lawsuit against Travis Holt and Derek Kane, the fake cops, demanding full financial restitution for Samuel's hospital bills, future rehabilitation, property damage, pain, and suffering. Then came the civil rights lawsuit, citing violations of Samuel's constitutional protections, illegal search and seizure, elder abuse statutes, and attempted real estate fraud under federal housing laws. Third, she launched a class action lawsuit, assembling a coalition of other elderly victims in the region who had reported harassment from similar fake HOA enforcers. This would amplify the damages and make it impossible for the defense to argue Samuel's case was isolated. Each lawsuit demanded not only direct financial compensation but also punitive damages designed to ruin the perpetrators financially for life. Meanwhile, Samuel's team focused on financial retaliation. His financial advisor worked with senior financial services specialists to identify all assets owned by Holt and K homes, vehicles, real estate investments, insurance policies, and retirement accounts. Insurance.